Hello and welcome to this ITF Zoom chat with myself, Michael Beattie, and some very special guests from the world of wheelchair tennis. This week was meant to be the season finale to the UNIQLO Wheelchair Tennis Tour, the NEC Wheelchair Masters in Orlando, Florida. However, in light of the COVID pandemic in October, it was announced that the event would not take place this year. But we are still here to talk about the Masters of years gone by, and to do that, I'm joined by 4 winners of multiple Masters titles. First up, reigning singles and doubles champion, Diede De Groot. Hi, Diede.
Hi.
Now, this has obviously been a strange year for everyone, but as a player, used to spending our time traveling around the tour, how has this year been for you?
It's been very strange. I think it's been strange for everyone, but I think especially if you're traveling so much and then that part of your career basically just fall away like that is very strange. And I think for the first month it was actually quite relaxing. Like it was like, oh, I don't have to pack my bags for a month. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. So there was, I think, this sort of like pressure that fell away a little bit. But then after a while of just not being able to train at all, and then tournaments just kept being cancelled one after the other, that's when it started to sink in, like, oh, okay, this is going to take a while, and this is something different. And it was difficult.
Next up is your doubles partner from last year's victory in Orlando and another Masters singles champion, former world number one, Aniek. Aniek, what was the biggest challenge for you during lockdown, and how did it feel to finally get back on court at Roland Garros?
First of all, it was amazing to get back on court at Roland Garros, but in the first week of lockdown, I was really like thinking, what series of Netflix should I watch next? That was the first one, but as well, we had our program, we had exercises that were given to us by the KNLTB, which was really nice, but still I had more energy to give and I couldn't do anything with it. And it was difficult. And after a long time, we were able to get back on court. And then I developed an injury myself, but because once I was back on court, I wanted to give it my all and I wanted to make up for some time. And well, that didn't go too well, but it was a difficult time for sure. It still is sometimes.
We are also joined by a player who frankly needs no introduction, but I'm going to give it a go. A singles champion at the Masters from 1998 to 2011 and a 9-time doubles champion. World number one, multiple Grand Slam champion, multiple Paralympic champion, Esther Vergeer.
Hello.
Now, Esther, at the start of the year, you've had challenges above and beyond what the rest of us all experienced in 2020. You shared your breast cancer diagnosis in January, but you also shared that you completed treatment in July, which we were also glad to hear about. How has the last year been for you, and how are you doing now?
Well, it has been crazy, a crazy year full of challenges. And in January was a tough time, hearing that you have breast cancer and not knowing how the treatment would go and what that means for your life, basically. But soon, as I started treatment, to be honest, the chemotherapy was pretty tough. The treatment itself, but also then not feeling well, feeling weak, losing all the energy in your body, losing your hair, was quite difficult. But then the surgery and the radiation went really, really well. And I have to be honest that I feel really good now at the moment. So I've been recovering from July on, playing or not playing sports, but doing more sports, being more active, getting more fit. And since September, I've been working again. So, getting back to my normal life, which feels really good. And the doctors are positive. So I'm absolutely healed. Yeah, so it's good.
And finally joining us is Jiske Griffioen, who, after a short break from the sport, returned in 2019. So Jiske, 1 year into your comeback, what have been the biggest challenges and what have you enjoyed most about being back on court?
Well, it's been a crazy year because I started in Australia where I played 2 tournaments. And even though I lost in second round and I played doubles with Aniek, we didn't win it, but I felt in a couple of matches that that we were close. So then it started to sink in, like, what if I'm really going to be playing full time again? Where do I end up? So then it took a couple of weeks till I had the guts to really take the decision to return to full-time tennis. And when I did, everything stopped. So there were no events. And basically I've been training most of the time. So I think that was the biggest challenge for me to stay motivated and to have the confidence in my decision that I still made the right decision, which has been a bit tough. But hopefully in 21, it will return back to normal and I can really enjoy my comeback a little bit more.
I wondered if the 4 of you could maybe give people a player's eye view of what the Masters experience is like. It's obviously a small competition that you have to finish at the top of the rankings in order to qualify for. So it's a year-long campaign to even reach there. But it also does come at the end of a grueling year-long campaign. So, Aniek, what is it like to reach the Masters, of what's the experience like when you're there?
Since the first time I was allowed to compete at the Masters, it's always been a privilege and a true honor. You can't give yourself a bigger compliment than that you are allowed to play this event at the end of the year, because it means you've done well in the year.
And Esther, if I could ask you, during your career, the Masters was pretty much entirely held in your home country in the Netherlands. So that must be quite a special feeling, being able to play such a sort of prestigious event in front of your home people, your friends and family.
Yeah, and I think, I started as a little girl going to the Masters to just watch. And so, that's where I got motivated to eventually play there myself. So playing in front of your home crowd, getting the opportunity to play in front of your friends and family, and later on also the sponsors, was great, because nobody could really ever come to all the other tournaments, and it's quite expensive, or they don't have time, or so the Masters was the platform, the showcase where you could just show off, or let them see what wheelchair tennis was about. Yeah, I was nervous all the time. My first one was in 1998. So I played in Eindhoven myself, and then Amersfoort and Amsterdam. A top event, which I was always nervous about, but feeling great and always played well there.
When the tournament was held previously in Holland, I was still very young, and I was like a junior player. So we were always invited to come and watch the players. And I have like such good memories of just going there and just being just like starstruck a little bit, and like, oh wow, these players are so good. And I think it was really important for me to sort of learn, like, it is possible to become a professional tennis player. So I think that motivated me from a young age, like that's what you can work towards too.
Can I ask, does anybody have anybody else's autograph from those days?
Yes.
Aniek. Whose do you have?
I had Esther's and Jiske's. First time I saw them playing at the Masters, but I had them on a T-shirt, and the next day at school I showed them off to all of my schoolmates, and I said, like, these are the stars of wheelchair tennis, look at it. And then my mom put it in the washing machine, and they were all gone.
We can give you another one.
Oh, please.
Yeah, I still have
fantastic.
my autographs as well from when I was that age.
really adorable that you collected autograph from everyone, Diede, and then after that you've beaten us all. It's like that. It's funny how that tennis works, and yeah, but it's nice.
Well, it's a bit like I said, like I went there to really see how it was possible, and I think that helped me in a way. So yeah.
Yeah.
So actually, if you get an autograph and now you beat them all, so they signed their own death penalty, basically.
Yeah, sort of.
They should have said like, no, I'm not gonna do it. Not this one.
What's the sort of atmosphere at like these Masters events? And maybe Aniek, Jiske and Diede, you can speak to how that might have changed a bit now that it's moved on from the Netherlands to new venues. Jiske?
For me, that was a really big disappointment because it was always great, like Esther said, to play in front of friends and family. And yeah, I won it 3 times, but never in my home country. So yeah, I was really disappointed, but I can understand you want to showcase wheelchair tennis all around the world. But it changed the atmosphere a little bit. But of course, they've done an amazing job after that as well. Like, it was run very well, and winning it is still very special because it's only the best 8 players in the world. So I know I was always really nervous because it was a different setup, because it's a round robin competition, and I was always very nervous about winning 2, but then still be able to be kicked out if you lose the last one. And I don't know, for me, it always brought a little bit more nerves to the matches, to be fair.
Rather than ask you what your best matches have been or what your biggest highlights have been, maybe I could ask you something a bit left field. What have some of the weirder experiences been at these Masters, or some of the stranger matches or stranger things that might have happened over the years? Anybody got any stories they wish to share?
I remember one match against Kantaseet, and I think that was my first Masters, and I never played her. I remember losing the first set 6-love and then winning the second one 6-love, and I had no idea what I did, what changes I made. So I will never I couldn't explain the match, and I will never forget that one, to be fair.
Me neither, because I got your autograph afterwards.
Well, that's good.
And I hear there was an incident in London a few years ago that 3 of you experienced.
Well, I think it was 1:30 in the night, and the fire alarm went off, and I quickly grabbed my phone and my passport. But then I was like, okay, how am I going to get downstairs? Because the hotel was situated above, it was above a store, I think. It was in the middle of the Westfield shopping center in London. And we all had to go down 7 flights of stairs, I think. And everyone was in a rush to get down. And I can hop like the Easter Bunny. I will hop downstairs, just like Diede, on one leg downstairs. But then everyone else in the wheelchairs, I was like, oh my God. And then I saw Jiske being carried by Stuart Wilkinson and all other people. And Jiske and I were, finally, we were actually really fast though. Like, we were downstairs and all people came out, and they were all looked a bit dazed, like, what
is happening?
I love my sleep. What is this? And then apparently Diede slept through it all. And
I was just gonna say, you said what you all experienced in London, and I didn't experience anything. I had no clue. Everyone was speaking about it, an alarm that went off, and I was like,
it was so loud.
I
just don't get it how you slept through that.
I honestly think that maybe my alarm in my room was broken, because
no. But even if the room next to you or across you would have been maybe working, you would still be shaken out of your bed.
Yeah, I don't know how that happened, but I had no clue.
Doesn't it scare you that, you travel so much, you're in a hotel all the time, and then if that doesn't wake you up,
Well, I've heard more alarms like when I was asleep, so I know that I'll wake up. But this one, no.
But one question: how do you hear your alarm in the morning? Then your phone, and not that.
Well, I've got 4 at the moment, so.
I made
Were
a
you feeling a
picture
little-
of me and Aniek, and I wanted to send it to you all, but then I saw my face, so I decided not to.
Oh, you still have it? I was looking.
Yeah, I still have the picture. It's terrible.
Oh.
I think you should share it.
Yeah, this is definitely.
I will.
If you're gonna
Aniek
mention it, you should
Aniek
share it.
looked okay, but
No,
I look terrible.
I remember it. It's so funny.
Esther, I think you mentioned that there was a bit of star power turned up at the events, some of the events you played back in the sort of early noughties.
Johan Cruyff showed up in Amsterdam, and our two foundations work together. So we've seen him before, but then when he shows up and showed his interest in wheelchair tennis and just, sat there and just watched a couple of matches, that was really impressive to me, that he really enjoyed it and had interest in wheelchair tennis, in the players, in how we're doing, in the development of wheelchair tennis. So that was quite cool that he was there. Mm-hmm. I always think that those players' dinners were quite funny, or maybe boring to say, and that we had to make them funny. How did you experience them, and how did you make them more fun?
This is actually one of the thoughts that I had, because my first Masters, I'd never really had any big tournaments before. I didn't play any Grand Slams. I only had Rio and then the Masters. So when I saw on the schedule there's like a player dinner and there's like a meeting the sponsors, like you said, I was like, oh, I need to buy new clothes. I need to look very like neat. Like I need to impress people. And I just remember getting to the dinner and everyone was just there in casual clothes, like sweaters and sponsor clothing, and just not that like chic. So that was one of the things that I was like, oh, I don't have to dress up that much. And that's something that really stuck to me. Like,
which is actually a pity, because at the WTA and ATP events, they have like really cool parties where everybody is looking very pretty, and it would be nice if it was a little bit more glamour and fun, and because it's nice to see everybody dressed up and differently, and so maybe that's a good idea for the next ones.
For some people, it's easy to dress up, Jiske, and like it very much. So
but sometimes you get help. Like at the Wimbledon Bowl, there is a whole rack of dresses, and they help you. So
maybe there's a new job opportunity for you there.
Oh yes, I want to do that, but I don't think everybody would be happy with my styling advice.
No, you've been always pretty good. Yeah,
okay. Maybe.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Let's take it up. Let's do it.
You've all lifted the trophies, and that must be a wonderful feeling. It's not something that most of us will ever feel. But on a personal level, are there any sort of particular moments, maybe it's the end of a particular match or end of a particular year, that feel particularly you're particularly proud of?
I think it was a match against Jordan Wiley. It was a semis, I think, and I lost the first set. I was up all the time in the first set, but then I still lost it in the tiebreak, and then I was down, I think 5-2 in a second and 15-40. And it was actually like I made a really bad mistake, and I laughed so hard because I was like, oh, you dipshit, how can you do that? Like on this level, how can you do that? And I started laughing, and I still won the match because I started to relax. And it wasn't nice for the British crowd that was there in London. But it's one of the matches, like Jiske said, when she played Fantasy, it was one of my most memorable matches.
Well, the most memorable match was against Jordan as well for me, because I won it in the third set tiebreaker 16-14, and I think I've never been, that's my weirdest tiebreak score ever.
How about you, Esther? Are there any matches that stand out for you from your run?
I think there's two that stand out, and that's my first win of the Masters. So I was playing it for the first time in, like I said, 1998. Playing against Maaike Smit, who was like my hero at that moment. Playing against her, winning the first set 6-love, and then had to fight myself to the first win in a tiebreak in the second set. But the tension and the nerves were so big that I remember how hard I cried because I was so nervous, like afterwards. But that was a match that I remember very well. And then I think the match against Corey Holman in 2008, we just had this horror final in the Paralympic Games in Beijing, which I was match point down. And then a couple of weeks later, I had to play her again in the final during the Masters. And everybody was like talking about it, like, is Corey Holman now going to win? And so all the pressure was, well, on both of us, basically. But then I can remember that final during the Masters, and I won it. Yeah, it was just so much tension.
The first one will always be very special. I wasn't expected to win, and then if you do, that's always something that will stick to you, and that will always be something that you remember. But I think mostly just being invited for the first time, and just being like sort of rewarded to be part of that first 8, I think, was very special to me. And I remember just being at the tournament, and Houdet, a French player who was back then, I think he was still like number 1 or number 2. I respect him very much, and he asked me to train, and I was like, whoa, like what's happening? Like thinking about it now, he might have not have a practice court, so he wanted to share it. I don't know, but he asked to play, and like it was so special, and it was just the feeling that the tournament gave back to me that will always stick to me.
What year was your first year, Diede?
So it was 2016. Yeah.
We had a big battle in semis.
Yes. Yeah, I also remember, because that year, I think in Paris, we had 3 sets and a tiebreaker in the third, and then
in Rio,
a third set and a tiebreaker, and then we had one at the Masters.
Yeah.
And I remember losing them all. So yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, that was a match that I won't forget either.
But I also remember one match, and that's not singles matches, but that's doubles. But as it's combined, should be combined next week. But I remember with Jiske, I don't know what match it was, but we were not doing too well, actually. And after we were down 3-love, I think, and then we got a game, and Jiske went really positive. She said, well, we're on the scoreboard. Let's go.
Let's go.
We won it. And I was like, and that will always stay with me. Like, okay, you're on the scoreboard. You're going to do well. Like, relax.
Yeah, just sometimes in tennis, you don't understand what happened or how did you turn it around. But it makes it one of the best games as well, I think.
I just like the goal of doubles, that you together you stand stronger, and together you have a plan that you work towards. But always together. You lose and you win together. It's a cliche, but it's true.
Before we started this call, I asked each of you to think up a question to ask the rest of the group. Esther, how would you like to go first?
How do you see wheelchair tennis develop, and how do you see, or where do you see the Masters stand in 10 years?
Oh. I'd love to see it alongside the WTA and ATP, because we already are privileged with the same stage that we get at the Grand Slams. Why not at the year-end Masters? I think it would be wonderful. You have the crowd there, and it's not that the people don't want to see it, but they just don't get to see it all the times. But I think just combine it, and it would be amazing and great exposure for wheelchair tennis.
Yeah, totally agree.
Aniek, how about your question?
Have you ever forgotten by accident to bring home your trophy?
I didn't lose my trophy. I lost my laptop, my passport, my wallet, and my phone traveling, but not my trophy.
Yeah, you said that. BlackBerry is going to go on a trip, and I'm not invited.
I'm not invited. He just took off in a taxi.
Yeah.
I remember in the Czech Republic, you always used to get like the big crystal vases. And I remember going home, having all the bags, the wheelchair, the everything. And I put the big box on top of my bag, which is like, it's not a good idea. So yeah, when I got back, it was like in 1,000 pieces on the ground. So yeah, that was not very smart.
To be honest, I never forgot a trophy. I sometimes, I always brought it home, and then at home, I'm not too sure what I did with all of them. So, yeah, but I always try to bring it home. Yeah.
Yeah, but you were very organized.
I was quite organized. Yeah.
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 If we shared a
Are there
room,
any-
you could tell which side was my side and which side was your side. It was very clear.
Yeah.
Are there any favourite trophies in your collections?
Favorite trophies? Wow.
I think my Paralympic medals are my favorites.
I think like trophy wise, I just always like the ones that you can reuse.
Yeah.
So I've reused the US Open ones where like I put flowers in them. And actually I saw this idea from Esther. She put one, I think like plants in one of them. And I was like, oh, I can do that. So I've used some of them. And I think some of the plates like or silverware, you can't really use them. But maybe the like the vases or you can really use them, and I like that. Like it's a small detail in your home.
Yeah, it is nice because at the US Open trophies, I put we have Sinterklaas now, but we put in like little gingerbread cookies in there, and it looks really nice. And then when people go and grab one or two, they look like, oh wow, that's New York, and that's I think it gives a lot of meaning to it. It's really nice.
Diede, how about your question? Do you have a question you'd like to ask someone or everyone in the group?
So I think what comes to mind when I think of the Masters is always just the end of the year and like holiday feeling. So I was wondering like what your favorite holiday activity is for Christmas or
It's nice to have a little holiday. I remember one time the doubles masters was in California, and then we took a trip to Los Angeles. So you add a little bit of fun to your work trip. So, and I always like that to also see a little bit more than just the airport and the tennis venue.
I remember that we picked out a really nice hotel on the internet, and it was absolute rubbish in real life.
But it was fun.
It was. But what I really enjoyed at the Masters in London, that everything was already in Christmas spirit, and everyone was doing their shoppings. Not on it's Black Friday. Oh, it was terrible. It was really busy, but that was an extra feeling, a special feeling for that Masters back then. It was really nice.
But it was dangerous to have the shopping center so close.
Oh, it was. Oh, I was like, I already spent my prize money before I even earned it, I think.
the last few years it was in Orlando, and last year the hotel right next to it had this like massive Christmas tree, and it was quite different for us to be in a hot environment and then have a Christmas tree and then be in shorts, and then be in that holiday or Christmas feeling, and then still it being so hot.
Well, that just leaves one question. So Jiske, over to you.
Yeah, mine's very serious. Esther, we're really happy you're healthy again and you look amazing and seems like you're fit. So I think you have 3 or 4 more weeks to prepare. Do you want to play doubles with me at the Nationals in December, please?
God. Good question.
Like, oh, what do I answer?
Well, I guess the end. Are you clapping, Aniek? I don't even know if I fit in my tennis chair yet.
Oh yeah, that's maybe you want to try that out first and let us know if
I need to
works.
try that first.
Yeah.
God. Thanks for the question, though.
Thank you so much to Diede, to Aniek, to Esther, and to Jiske for joining me for this chat about Masters past and present and the sort of world of wheelchair tennis that we don't really, as fans, don't really often get to see. Have a wonderful off season and hopefully see you all in 2021.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Esther, we'll see you at Nationals.
Yeah.
See you at the Nationals for sure. Cool. I don't know if I'm in a tennis chair or not, but you'll see.
We'll get you one. No.
Take care, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.